Welcome to Inside Bremerton. This is the City of Bremerton's video newsletter, focusing on issues and topics important to its citizens. I've asked Loxie Eagans to come into the studio today to talk to us about a project that he's working on. If you recognize the name Loxie Eagans, don't be surprised. This is Loxie Eagans Jr.
Right.
Loxie, welcome.
Thank you.
First of all, Loxie, let's share the family history and how your name is so well known, your father's name actually, in Bremerton.
Well, him and my mom both arrived here back in the 40s, both worked in the shipyard. He did a lot of civic things such as president of NAACP, and then he rose up through the ranks in the shipyard, and then he became one of the first EEO officers back in the 60s.
Back in the 60s, right.
So then his job there was to go through, look at discrimination, and then wherever there weren't people working, tried to hire to fill those slots. So that's what he did. So he did a lot of that, did a lot of stuff with the NAACP, and just a lot of things with his church, a lot of things around the community. Him and my mom. So they both basically
and your mom's name is Alice.
Alice Eagans.
Alice Eagans.
Right.
Alice still very, very active.
Very active, yeah.
In the
very
community
yes.
at 80 years young.
Yes,
80
yes.
some years young.
Yes.
So Loxie, your father passed away in the early 80s at a young age.
Right.
And the community wanted to remember him somehow.
Right, exactly. So there was a choice, I believe, of either a park or street, and I think one other thing I can't remember. So my mom chose a street. And so they got together and a committee of people from Bremerton, and they decided that street because we lived at the other end of it, and my dad would leave the house and we'd go down that street to get to the church they used to go to, St. Clair Baptist. And so that's pretty much why she chose the street, because they gave you a choice of streets, and so she chose that one.
And
that
it's,
was it.
the path your dad always took to,
Exactly.
from home
to church, basically.
Very good story.
Yeah.
Great story. So Loxie's been doing some work, international work.
Right.
And Loxie's nonprofit group is called Comfort and Care for Development. So Loxie, tell us how this all got started, what your purpose is, all that. Tell us about it.
It started basically out of what I saw when I went to the Philippines with some friends of mine. I went over there to celebrate I think it was their 30th year anniversary, and they invited me to go. So I went. So I had been there in the military, but just for like about a year. I was stationed there. But I hadn't seen as much as I saw this time. So I went with them. I was there for about 2 to 3 weeks. And I went to so many different places. I said, man, it's really a beautiful place. And I just started kind of liking where I was at. I met a whole lot of different people, saw a lot of different things, ate tremendous dishes of food. And I said, God, I like this place. And so then that was one side of it in terms of the beauty of it. But then I visited some of the schools, and they were like, I couldn't even believe it. They were like, to me, the way schools were probably even before my mom and dad went to school. Because it was just like basically rooms in a building, nothing on the wall, the chairs were, old, everything was old. And I thought, golly, how can they learn? Then I met a gentleman who's my vice president. He basically told me the history of what, how the schools are and how they're not, and the high dropout rate. And I could see why you would drop out, because the schools aren't inviting. Like if you want to go to school here in the States, you might not want to go, but you're going to go. But you have a nice warm room, lights, color on the walls, and
books,
different kind of pictures and things like that. So it's really kind of attractive. There is totally the opposite. I mean, you literally have to force yourself. I had to force myself to go into the classrooms as I looked at them, because all of them looked unfinished. I just figured unfinished. That's all I could think. I said, this is not right.
Is there a public school system?
Yeah, they have a public.
They
have a public, but they have a huge private.
Right.
They have a huge private school system. So therefore, anybody that can afford to has their kids go to a private school. And so the public school system is just really, it's hurting. It's hurting. And I don't blame anybody. I just want to do my part if I can. So that's what I'm doing.
So that's how it all got started.
That's how it all got started. Just what I saw and the shock of it. And I said, gosh, there's got to be something that's better than this. There's got to be something I can do. So I met with some people, and they said, hey, let's try to do this. And so I have like about 5 or 6 people that I work with here. And then I have a professor, and her college helped me over there in the Philippines.
And how long ago was your trip to the Philippines?
I first started going over there probably about 3 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And I just came back in May from a real successful trip. And so I've been going back and forth about 4 times. Yeah.
So you're trying to help the schools,
Trying to help the
the
schools,
children,
right.
and what have you accomplished so far?
So far, I've given them lots of books. In fact, West Hills Elementary did a book drive for me. We had 850 books.
Nice.
And so I'm also sending over computers. I'm also sending over, let's see, I took with me a projector, a laptop computer. So we need more computers and things like that because they simply don't have it.
They don't have any of
They don't have any
modern technology.
They don't have it. They don't have it. They basically, you would think today they do, but they don't. You know, so this is kind of a remote area where I go, and so they just simply don't have it. But they're doing what they can do, so it's not like they're walking around, you know, gee whiz, we don't have this or that, because they
Right.
don't know.
So you were not in Manila, obviously.
No, I landed in Manila, but where I work out of is a place called Ilocos Norte, which is way up north in the Philippines, and it's a beautiful, another beautiful area of the Philippines. And the Philippines is a gorgeous place. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, I do know that.
But anyway, that's where I work. But it's basically like a farming community, and they just simply do not have the things they need for the kids to get a real good, fair start. And so that's where I come in, try to do my little part of helping this one school and a high school. That's what I do. I have an elementary school, and then the kids will go from the elementary school to the high school. So
Okay.
I'm trying to help both schools.
Okay.
So
Is
that's
the
my goal.
system in the Philippines, the children go to school 12 through 12 grades?
They go
Similar to ours, or
They go to the 10th grade.
10th grade?
They basically go 1 to 6, and then 6 through the 10th grade,
Uh-huh.
and then that's school.
And that's
And
it.
so then they try to go to college if they can. That's if they haven't dropped out before they even go to, say, the 8th or 9th grade. Because, like I said, if they're not picking up things, and like I said, I think it's literally, I was talking to somebody the other day, I said, I think what's happening is they do have TV. They see how a classroom is in the States, and then they get up and go to this classroom that looks nothing like the States, or nothing like anything anybody would want to see. So I think that might have a little bit to do with it. Why should I go to this? They got this there. It's nowhere near what we have. I think that's part of it. Then part of it is also could be family need. Family needs them home to work, to make money for the family.
Most of them are farming families?
Where I'm at is basically a farming community. So a lot of that is part of it. And so they get their money, of course, from the crops and for whatever they do in terms of farming. And so they're doing the best they can, and they're very humble people, very great people. I love them. Love them a lot. Yeah.
You enjoy going
I
there to
love it.
visit.
I love it.
Yeah.
They treat me royally. They appreciate what I'm doing. And so that's the joy of it. That's why I wish I'd done it earlier. And
Right.
all of a sudden, I just fell into this. But I'm not going to stop. I love it. Yeah.
Good for you. Why? So the reason you're focusing on the community in the north of the Philippines is because that's where your friends had taken you on
That's
your
where
first
I had
visit?
my basic contacts. A lady here who's on my board, her sister and this professor met me at the airport in Ilocos. I had landed in Manila, then I took another flight to Ilocos. And so they had told me about the situation there. So year before last when I went, they took me all over. I saw schools and different types of buildings and all this kind of stuff. But the schools were really
Right,
in
that
bad
was the
shape.
eye-opener.
Yeah, that was
So
the eye-opener.
in the little community of Ilocos del Norte?
Ilocos Norte.
Ilocos Norte.
Ilocos Norte.
Is there a private school, or they don't even have that?
I didn't see any private schools near the public school that I was at, but I've told that there are some around there. Because it's the Philippines is like this. You either have money or you literally don't have money, and you're trying to get money. It's basically like that. It's pretty cut and dry. So either you have it or you don't have it. It's not like, I don't think there's like a middle class. It's either you have money or you don't have money. And so it's pretty, that's it. You know, so therefore, those who have money, their kids are going to private school.
The private school.
And that's it. You know, so.
And if you don't have money, you're going to the public school.
You're going to something what they call as a public school, but to me, it wouldn't pass as a school here. You know, that's what I say. Now, I know our standards are different than everybody's in the world, but it just doesn't look like a school.
Feel like a school?
No, it doesn't look like it at all. And they're happy with the things I've given them, such as the books and all that. And so We're going to just continue to do that.
Do you find most of the people in the Philippines speak English?
Yeah, it's an English-speaking country. They speak Tagalog,
Right.
and then they have different dialects all over the Philippines, such as where I'm at, they have Ilocano. And so that's what they say. And I'm going to learn Tagalog myself, because I feel, they say, oh, no, you're okay with English, but I want to understand them more. And they speak, when they speak in their native tongue, I can tell that I'm missing something. They talk to me in English, but you know they're doing it for the sake of, okay, us communicating, but I'm not getting the feeling of the culture as they speak English sometimes. So I say I want to really get into their culture so I can really see how they think and how they do things and how I can actually help them better. So I'm going to be taking a class at the University of Washington in September. There's a class there, so I'm going to probably be taking that so I can learn the language.
I think it might be hard to learn that language.
It could, well, it's a mixture of Spanish and I guess the dialects
Right,
there.
right,
And so I took Spanish in college and in high school. So I'm going to see. I'm looking
Good for
forward to the
you.
challenge. Yeah.
Good for you. So what's your next focus? Books, computers, school supplies? Do
School
they-
supplies
pencils
is
and
yeah,
paper and-
everything. Name it, they need it. And then they also need structure improvements, such as they have a lot of roofs in that school that I'm at. They leak when they have huge torrential rains.
Tropical storms. Yeah.
So when that rain comes, they can't even be in the classroom. They have to move them around to different classrooms and all this. And their electrical light system is very dim lights. They turn on lights and just very dim. And so all of these contribute to me as to it would be very distracting. You know how kids get distracted. And so I'm thinking, you know, this room needs to be painted. They need lights. They need this roof. So I'm thinking of all things as I see it. So I've got a list. I've got a list of these things that I want to try to improve, say, over the next 5 years. The high school isn't so bad. They just basically need courses. They need literary math books, English books, science books, things like that.
Right.
Consistently different books than they have now. And they do have some computers, but they do need more computers and more things like that. But both schools need structural, like painting and things like that, because they're just drab looking. And so it's just something I think they need to be brought into what a school should be. And that's what my goal is.
What's the population of the schools? What would you see in a
The
typical classroom? How many
population,
kids
they
in
could
a
be up to
class?
40, 50. They could be 50.
Oh.
So it's pretty crowded.
Are there grades per se, or
Yeah,
do
they're like the first
pretty
grade.
much put
Yeah, they're
kids-
separated into rooms, but there'll be a lot of kids in that room.
Wow.
And so they're really crammed in there in some of the schools.
Do they
that I
feed the
saw.
children? Do they give them?
They don't. That's
lunch?
another project I'm looking at, is that the big thing over there are what they call piggeries, or pig farms. So my thing is try to raise money to start a pig farm to provide income as well as food. And so I want to do a breakfast and a lunch program for the school, for the grade school. So that's another goal of mine. So I'll get it done. It's just going to take a while
you
for
have
me to
a lot
do.
of good goals.
Yeah.
What is the total population of the school?
The
itself?
school, the elementary school has a population of about 295 kids. The high school is a little bit less than that. I think it's like about 240 in the high school. So that's about it. So those are the groups and populations that I'm dealing with, are those two schools.
So tell us what you've done in Bremerton to raise funds or books. You mentioned West Hills.
We had West Hills Elementary, which is kind of, I'm hoping it's going to end up being a sister school. They did a lot. They gave me
Nice.
backpacks. They gave me a lot of backpacks that I gave brand new, a lot of books, and so they're helping really well. In fact, the people at the school system here in Bremerton seem like they're willing to help me. They think it's a good idea, so I have their support. And so, you know, everything takes paperwork and this
Sure,
and that.
sure.
And so that's what we have to sometimes wait on. But they've been great. It's been good.
And then the shipping to the Philippines,
The
it's gotta
shipping
be
is
exorbitant.
expensive, and
Yeah.
I've basically been doing it on my own. It costs, they have what they call a Bioni box, or a big box. It's a big box that you put your stuff in. You put as much as you want in, and it's like $55. And so I send those over there. I send over the books, I send over the backpacks before I get there generally. So in the
Right.
next couple of months, I'll be sending things over.
When are you going next? When
The
is your
next time I
trip?
go will be February. I plan on going back in February and hoping that everything will be there that I send. And because normally when I go, school is out. This time I want to see it while they're there. The first time when they were in school, but this time, the last couple times they've been on vacation. So I said, no, I want to go in the classroom. I want to sit there. I want to see how they learn, what they're learning, what they do, and have them also talk to me. I'm going to go to the parents' homes. So I want to get more into what they do. That's my goal.
Loxie, do you plan on living in the Philippines?
I plan on living in the Philippines, probably 4 to 5 months out of the year, and then come back to Bremerton and go back, come back to Bremerton to raise monies and things to go take over there to do things. And so that's my goal. Yeah.
And it all stemmed out of one trip with some friends.
It all like you say, came from basically an invitation to go over there for just basically celebrate some people's wedding anniversary. Yeah.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah.
Do schools in the Philippines have a school year per se like we do in the States?
Yeah, it's different than ours. They start in June and then they're out. They take a break. But when we're in school, they're sometimes out of school. So their summer break is March. They start March, April, May. And then they go back
in June.
Right.
I see.
And so they have several vacations and several.
It's always hot in the Philippines, though, isn't it?
It's always hot. But I got used to it. I thought that would be a problem.
It's a muggy hot
it's
too,
very,
isn't it?
very muggy. Fortunately, I was around a lot of. I was in cars that were air conditioned. And
sure.
I have an apartment over there that they have given me. So I stay in this apartment, and it's air conditioned. And so I'm comfortable. Sometimes I go out and say, whoa. Because I exercised over there, did a lot of walking and things. And so I think I've adjusted. I'm hoping I have. And I really look forward to going back. So that's the way I feel about it. Yeah.
So this is obviously near and dear to Loxie's heart. It's called Comfort and Care for Development. And that means comfort and care for development of children. Is that correct?
Exactly.
And he's really working hard to help the children of the Philippines. And you can reach Loxie at his email address, loxie@q.com.
Exactly.
And he is a Bremertonian. He's worked many years in Seattle and
Yes.
done some TV stuff and done some other things. And he's going to retire next February and relocate.
I'm going to let go. I'm going to let go let go and start living.
And start living and start really helping.
Yeah.
Loxie, anything else you want to share about your
just whatever people
group?
have that they can donate. Computers that's sitting in the closet that they don't use, let me have it. Old books, pens, pencils, anything they have that they know that is used in a school system. They need it there. And I'll pick it up or I'll have somebody pick it up and we'll move on and hopefully get all these things to them. Yeah.
Well, congratulations on this fabulous project. And again, if you'd like to get in touch with Loxie, it's LOXIE@q.com.
They could also call me.
Or they could call Loxie. Loxie's phone number, 360-551-3325.
Right.
And we have that on the screen for everybody. Loxie, thank you so much for bringing this to our attention and sharing it with the community. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us inside Bremerton, and we'll see you next time.